that was one of my favorite like gravel rides that we've done. But mostly we are a road team. So I would say like the gravel stuff is here and there and in between, but usually we stay kind of on the road and do it like that. The gravel bike also, I only just recently decided it was like time to invest in a gravel bike. Maybe we go mountain bike, but I'm still deciding also kind of if I'm going to go that route or not, because I feel like that's also now commitment, new bike commitment.
And then also you want to do really well there and you also want to focus on your road races.
Yes, exactly. And the road is definitely where my heart is at. We've got a nice team, and that I think is the most important. Like, that's the most important part. It's the part that I enjoy the most.
Yeah. And you got into cycling youngish, or you were exposed to it?
I think so. My dad's always ridden. My dad always, like throughout my life while I was growing up, would wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and go and ride with Engine in Bryanston, and was doing it like that. But I always thought he was batshit crazy. Like, why are you doing this? I didn't understand. And then probably it was at first during COVID that I started riding like on my mountain bike, like on the weekends on a Sunday.
Yeah.
On the weekends on a Sunday, with my friends, and we would basically just ride so that we could go and have a waffle or something afterwards, or a milkshake or whatever. And then slowly it just started to pick up. Then I went on my ComServe and I had no friends, and that was in Durban. And so I just decided I would start riding more, like every single morning. And then I don't know, you just kind of get sucked in. I ended up riding more with this person who used to race. Then I did a race with him. Then I went and did something else with another person. Then Shannara, the current SA champs dad, asked if I wanted to ride in their team. Just I was riding coincidentally with them, and then I don't know, somehow you just get sucked in. Then I started with Cycle Nation.
So you obviously, when you first started, realized you were pretty good, or the people around you at least were telling you like you're actually pretty strong?
I think it's more like, I think it's the competitive spirit inside me is like, and it's nice to beat the boys. That's the fun part. You know, you go beat the boys, and then the boys get like a bit upset about the fact that you've beaten them.
Of course.
Yes, exactly. And then you just want to beat them more and more and more.
That is the thing. You're cycling, and then these women cycle past you like, yo, I need to work harder. I need to work harder.
Exactly. It really, like, even Engine, when you give a little attack, I don't know if you know the little engine route
I don't.
that they do.
But I look at your Strava, and now that I got the gravel bike, I'm like, I'm going to try copy some of these routes.
And it's the same. Usually it's like the same kind of route that we do most mornings. And we start at the Engine by Grosvenor, up at the top of Grosvenor, and then we do a little loop. But Tuesdays and Thursdays are the fast days. So Tuesdays, they tend to rip it. Like this morning, okay, I only did half of the ride, but you like go from Engine all the way around to Northcliffe, down past the zoo, and then all the way back again. And it's kind of like a race. So you wake up early in the morning, you take your gel, you get to the start, and then people either are ripping it or they're not ripping it. Depends.
And you rip it.
Depends on the day. Today I ripped it for like 5 minutes, and then I was like, okay, cool, I'm not ripping it anymore.
Was that because you raced this weekend?
Yeah, but then I also had intervals to do on Northcliff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had other training that you used to handle.
Yes, okay. Exactly. Yeah.
So you started mountain biking, then got into riding a bit with the mountain bike, and then joined Cycle Nation.
Exactly.
And was that an invite? Was that you just decide to join, or how does that work?
That so Lincoln King is like the manager of Cycle Nation. He's like the behind the scenes person that is in charge of this whole thing that he's created. It's actually really, really cool. He has basically created this cycling community, which is linked to Zwift as well. So there's these Cycle Nation rides on Zwift that is part of it. And then his other aspect is a ladies team. He used to have a men's vets team as well. Now he just focuses on the ladies. And he's changed sponsors throughout the years. He used to be with Enza Construction, and then he moved to Sandton City, and then we were Sandton City. And now we are back to Enza and Traction now. And Enza is actually just so supportive of lady cycling. I think that's their main thing. Like, they really want to support the ladies and support lady cycling. And so then he has the funds to be able to, I think that's what it is. He has the funds to be able to create this team that is almost as close to a professional setup that you can get in South Africa. I think that it is as close to a professional setup that you can get in South Africa. And that's completely from Enza and Cycle Nation or Lincoln that he's kind of created it, which is really cool.
Yeah. And then also obviously encouraging women in general to cycle.
Exactly.
So is that then your goal, professional?
So I'm a physio and I really, really love being a physio. So for now, in my mind, my main goal is like to continue working as a physio and grow as a professional physio. The cycling, I really like the structure that it creates in my life. So like, I know I'm going to wake up at 4. I'm going to leave my house at 4:30. I'm going to do my ride until 6:30, get home, and every single day there is a specific training session that's in my plan and it fits perfectly into my day. It means that when I get home at night, I make food and I know I'm going to be sleeping by 9. Okay. Let me say I try to be sleeping by 9, but
that's late for me.
8.
Yeah.
The bedtime routine starts, but that's kind of how it has become. So how do I even explain it? It's become like a routine basically. And then you become addicted to like the progress that you make physically. And you see all of a sudden, okay, cool, I can hit this power. I can keep up with this person now. I can keep up with this person now. And my coach has actually been very good at almost integrating it into my life. So if I've only got an hour and a half on a Saturday, it doesn't mean I necessarily have to go and ride for 7 hours the next day to kind of make up for it. I still am training enough to be able to compete at like the level that we are competing at, which is cool.
Yeah. Have you always been structure driven, like growing up, or as you've gotten older and as you've been exposed maybe to more structure that you've, incorporated in your life, you've just seen benefits from it?
I think it has always been like a structure.
Personality wise.
Yeah, I think so. I do like a structure. I like to know what I'm doing every single day. And I know that this day I'm doing this day I'm doing this. And I used to play hockey. So hockey was cool. Monday, you've got gym at this time. Then you're running in the evening. Then Tuesday, you don't have to gym this morning, but then you've got training for like 3 hours in the evening. And then Wednesday, you've got this. Thursday, you've got this. And it's all really, really like structure. I think that's kind of what I'm after, is a structure. But at the same time, I say that I really like the structure, but I actually really like the competing as well. Like the racing with the team and with the girls that I race with is actually my favorite part. Like you get to a race and you're there with your friends and like you know that you're going to go and you're going to end yourself for your friend. It's cool. It's like a different, I think I learned it more I learned it originally when I was riding with Carla and Joanna last year, just how much like they are willing or were willing to ride for one another. And I think that it's really been brought into the team culture this year because we've got basically a whole new team of girls. And well, it's just me and myself and Lexi that are still old girls that used to race last year. And now we've got Melissa, Carmen, Tennille, Beefy, and Caitlin. And so there's 7 of us. And everyone that's there is really willing to like work for one another. And tactically, how are you going to race? And I think that's actually where our success comes from, is like that tactically we all are quite in tune with one another and are willing to race for one another. Like Lexi will go up the road and completely empty herself for the fact that now it means someone from another team will then have to chase. And then we get there and she's basically just completely ended herself. She's like vomiting on the side of the road. And then like that's obviously for our benefit, but it's the team that wins in the end. It's really cool.
And is that those tactics something that's discussed or trained beforehand or just spoken about? Like do you train it so that, maybe she, when she's pushing up that hill to suck in another person from another team, like, is that, okay, well, this weekend you're going to be, focusing on the climbs to take other people and drain their energy. So let's train you more on climbs this week. Or is it kind of just, okay, this week, this is your job?
There's definitely a set plan when you go out and you race. I definitely don't think that I'm the most tactically knowledgeable individual, especially like in the team, let alone anywhere. But I've learned some stuff from Carla and Joe and Charisse when I was racing with them. And you start the race. Normally you have like a team talk, like in a hockey game, you have a team talk and you discuss, okay, cool, this is the press that we're doing. These are the penalty corners we're going to do. This is how we are going to first chucker this, second chucker that, third chucker. So in a race, it's the same thing. So like you look at the wind, you look at the hills and the climbs, and you say, okay, cool, we're going to attack first 30 Ks is into a headwind. So we're going to attack a couple of times, 1, 2, 3, 4. If anyone chases you, then that's good, because then you like getting them to start using their energy. And then when we get to, 50 Ks, there's a left-hand corner. At the left-hand corner, dead wheel, like Melissa's then going to go. And then when Melissa goes, then, eventually people don't chase, or people can't chase. And then you get one person away and then you join. Or you say, okay, cool, we're going to attack at the hill at 72 Ks. And hopefully you get 2 or 3 girls that come with you and you like create a breakaway or something like that. But there is like a team plan.
And then the other teams, if they do something similar, is it difficult sometimes to see their tactics? Like, is it like, no, they're just trying to suck us in here?
Unfortunately, in South Africa, there's not a lot of teams. Like there's Customize, who are basically like a competition team. And there is a new team, Chinola Waste, who have recently started, but they currently only have 2 girls that are like competing on the road scene at the moment. And then there's some veteran ladies that are part of like an ACTOP team. But I think because we have one of the bigger teams, we are normally the people that are in charge of like making it a race. So we are the more aggressive people when it comes to the racing. And I don't know if it's like confidence in your teammates that that you've got a team to fall back on, but we are always the aggressive ones. Every now and then you get other people that are aggressive, and it's cool when people start getting aggressive in a race. But specifically like Argus, you go to something like Argus and you've got all the heavy hitters from everywhere. Hayley Preen's there, Shannara's there, like Tiffany Keeper's there. And so they then will also bring the racing. And so then you kind of step back and you say, okay, cool, like we've got to wait for Hayley to go or whatever. But when we have more local races, it's definitely us that the ball's in our court to make the moves.
And sometimes, do you have a role that's predominantly your role, or do the roles, kind of rotate quite a bit? Like sometimes, Lisa, sorry, you're not going to be winning today.
Yes, no, definitely. It's very much about what everyone is good at. So like someone who's good, Lexi, for example, she's a time trialist. She does triathlon. So for her to go up the road, she will be the best person at that 100% in the team. And so you let her go. And if Lexi goes and wins, then Lexi goes and wins that day. If it's a climbing race, for example, Millie and Tennille are amazing at climbing, so then they are the ones that are more than likely going to be winning. And we actually kind of decide beforehand. We say, okay, cool, today we're racing for this person. Obviously, depending on the way that the race plans out, it doesn't always necessarily go to plan. And
that person might just crash.
Yes. Or
not physically, but physically, energy-wise.
Yes. Yeah. Or someone else gets in the breakaway, and then you kind of got to adapt the plan. Like if someone else gets in the breakaway, sometimes it just happens. Like this weekend we were meant to race for Tennille, and just like by the way everyone was standing when the breakaway went, Tennille said that's going to be the break. I managed to get in the break. She didn't manage to get in the break because she was in the wrong position, and she was actually meant to win the race. But then you're not going to like start sacrificing. Yeah. So that was the way that this weekend worked out. I actually think, to be honest with you, the girls that were in the bunch that didn't make the break had a harder race and had to race a lot harder than what I had to do, because you make the break, you kind of just get to chill at a very consistent speed for the rest of the race. Whereas when you're at the back, you now have to start, or not at the back, when you are in the main group, you have to attack and you have to think tactically, and it becomes much more of a racing race as opposed to just riding to the finish.
Yeah. And I think that's also obviously maybe because of your history of team sports. It's not just, even though cycling predominantly most of the time feels individual, it's not as individual. So you mentioned the community arriving at the race. So it's very community and teammate driven. It's not just you with your helmet on alone.
Yeah, 100%. I think that there is this idea that like cycling and road cycling is an individual thing, because there's always that person that's on the top step. And unfortunately, that is who people look at. Like you look at Pogačar and you see him standing on the top step and you think that he's done it all himself, but he doesn't. He has a whole team of people, or even Wout van Aert. He's got a whole team of people that are like working for him and working behind him and getting him onto that top step. He's just the face of it. And I think that at where we are in South Africa right now, it kind of just depends on who's having a good like few weeks or whatever. Like when Carla was here, Carla was like mopping the floors with everyone. She was just beating everyone. But some races, it was like my turn to win. So Dis-Chem last year, Carla and Joanna worked. I promise you, they pulled me to the end of that race. Like they were the reason that I won that race. And it wasn't really, I mean, you can take credit for little bits and pieces, but realistically, Carla kept the group from chasing me. Joanna basically sat in front of me the whole way until the end of the race. She like sat in the wind for me, and then it was my race to win. And I think that is the aspect of the team that people don't see, because everyone just sees, oh, cool, congratulations, you won. Yeah. And it's like, no, the team won. Like the team got us there. Lexi was in the breakaway, then Neil had a beautiful attack, and she was out by herself for ages, which meant that, I don't know, a girl from Customized Lucy was chasing. Lucy chased, and just after Lucy finished chasing and she was tired, then I attacked. And then that was when I got away, because everyone was now tired. Because
now they just see you on the podium and they think it was all you. Yeah,
exactly. But it's not. It just is that the team has basically beaten everyone, and then there's one face that's on the podium.
And was that ever difficult to manage, in the sense like you doing all the work but weren't the one on the podium initially? Maybe
I think initially I think because I was still learning, I had a lot to learn, and I didn't really know much about cycling. I don't think it was difficult to manage. I think that the environment that Lincoln has created in the team means that everyone's happy for everyone else to be succeeding. Like it doesn't feel like there's any resentment or even jealousy. It feels like everyone wants to be the best version of themselves for one another. I don't know how to explain it. And I think a lot of people struggle to understand it. But when you really care about the people that are in your team, you want them to succeed. And so like if Tennille won the fast one earlier this year, it was like a flippin' massive effort from her. And, the team did a really, really good job of, again, like attacking and making people work and putting people in the gutter. And Tennille was the one that made it across the line first. She'd had an amazing race, but it also shows that it kind of just depends on who wins that day,
And you started roughly 4 years ago. Would you say there's been a massive increase or a increase of sorts in terms of the amount of women in cycling?
So when I started a few years ago, it definitely, I'd say it's still pretty similar to what it was. I don't know what the good old days were like, and everyone speaks about the good old days. Like there was all these massive teams and people were getting paid salaries and could be like semi-professionals and getting, making like an income from actually riding. But I think that was many years ago. Now, I think since then, there's been a big decrease in the number of ladies. I don't know if it's from the lack of support that teams are getting. It's very difficult to get sponsors as a team. Enza Construction supports us amazingly, and it's really, really awesome what they are doing for ladies cycling, because to be able to have a structure that we can then be able, or like a structured team that we can have our entries paid for and have a way to get to the race and have people to go with and have it organized for us is half of the battle. So you now have to enter however many races. The Mzansi series is how many races? You have to have a team, number one, to enter this series that we're doing. It's a series of races throughout the year. You have to have a number of people in your team, which means that there has to be a sponsor that can look after a significant number of riders. And you have to be able to go to enough races in order to be able to get enough points. And financially, then it's actually quite difficult unless you have sponsors. So I think since the number of sponsors has decreased, there definitely has been a drop in the number of ladies. I think if there was more sponsors, there'd be more people that are willing to do the training and put in the hours because they are going to all the races and because they are definitely going to compete. Whereas now it's like, okay, cool, not many sponsors. And if there are sponsors, it's not financially to the point that they can support 7 riders. That's what Enza is basically doing for us. 7 riders that are then able to do road, do gravel, do mountain biking. And so realistically, without sponsors, there's not enough ladies that are willing to put in the financial resources and the time to train and race and, make the sacrifices.
That's at that semi-professional and to professional level. But what have you seen an increase in general in terms of, like, if you're just out in the cradle, are there more women?
I would say since I started riding, which was like 3-4 years ago, and probably more riding when I got back in 2020, end of 2022, beginning of 2023. I know more people that are cycling, or know more girls that are cycling, and I've been able to bring a few friends in, which is also really cool, like girls that are hockey players and girls that are that I know socially into the cycling scene. But I don't think that there are enough ladies. I think that maybe there's an increase in the number of ladies. I don't know if it's just because I now know more ladies because I'm now cycling more, but there definitely could be more of an increase in ladies riding.
Do you think what do you think it is? Do you think it's, obviously, I mean, the barrier to entry is pretty high. Bicycles are expensive, kit and everything. It's a massive financial cost.
No, definitely.
But also maybe South Africa, the safety aspect.
Yes. Safety is a big thing. When I ride in Cape Town, there's a lot more girls that ride. And I think that basically comes down to the safety thing. In Joburg, you cannot ride as a girl by yourself. Yeah. Well, I definitely don't feel safe to do it. I have to be riding with a group or at least 1 or 2 people. Like, you can even be in a group of 3 people. I was in a group of 3 people 2 years ago and we got mugged. So you still don't know whether you're going to be safe or not, but you can't do it by yourself. You definitely can't do it by yourself. There was actually a point, it was last 2 weeks ago, where a guy that I ride with, a grown man, was riding to the start through a Lovo, and a car crashed into him and mugged him.
Sure.
Yeah. So realistically, riding by yourself, and then especially riding by yourself as a female in South Africa, I definitely think that is the main thing that stops people from riding.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the safety thing is the biggest thing, because, I mean, even running, which is such a low barrier to entry, people are still not doing that.
Really?
Because you can't run even as a man, you're not safe running alone.
Yeah.
But even more so as a woman. And, because with cycling, our roads aren't safe in terms of just cars crashing into you and taxis and all of that, then the violent aspect of being mugged or whatever, and then the cost of it, I think it's very difficult for people to just get into it.
It really is. And you don't know whether you like it or not until you buy yourself a bike.
Yeah.
Like my friend Allegra, to get her into riding, I literally had to say, okay, cool, this is my other bike. I'll ride that bike. Let's get you into some of my kit, get you into my helmet, get you into a spare pair of shoes, and then we'll go and ride around the cradle a few times. And when you decide whether you like it or not, then you can get a bike. Then she got a bike. But she was never going to buy a bike if she hadn't come and experienced the atmosphere and experienced what it's like to ride around the cradle at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday and then go and have coffee or whatever. I do think that if it was more accessible, more people would do it. But yeah, a large part is definitely the safety. Riding in the mornings, in the dark. Yeah, not fabulous.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also not easy in terms of having to wake up early, having to, especially in winter, I mean, you get back up at 6, it's still dark.
Oh no.
But some of that, like that kind of aspect, it does take a particular person that does enjoy that.
I'm not ready for winter. I've experienced.
The cycling in winter is not fun.
Experienced 2 now, and a lot of people start to hibernate in winter and they get on the indoor trainers and stuff. I hate the indoor trainer, so I try to go outside. But also, again, you must now buy a jacket and you must buy your long pants and you must buy the arm warmers and the gloves and the everything. So it also then becomes another financial aspect that you have to then consider. The mornings, though, are enjoyable when it's summer. I do like the fact that when I get to work, I've already finished my workout and then I can go on with my merry day. But winter is terrible. Winter's terrible. Have you ridden in winter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done, this will be my fourth.
Okay.
Third. Yeah.
Okay.
It's terrible.
No, it's terrible.
I hate it. And I've also, I don't know what it's called. Raynaud's.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. And my hands are white.
And then you can't feel your fingers.
And my feet, even like little booties, don't help my feet.
They don't help.
I literally wear inners, then winter gloves. I'll wear skiing gloves. I can't really change gears and do anything, but it's the only
not being
way.
able to feel your hands.
Yeah. I'll get home after in winter when you do like maybe 100K mountain bike. Obviously, we're starting later as well. So let's say we start at 7, get back at around 12. My feet are still white. And it's 12 o'clock. It's actually like 18 degrees. It's not that cold.
It's not that cold.
That wind is terrible.
And then you get in the shower after you finish riding and everything starts to defrost. And it's worse than when your fingers and your feet are numb is when everything starts to defrost. No, I'm not looking forward to it at all. And the cradle is just so much colder than anywhere else.
Driving to the cradle, you just see the temperature go below 0. Like, oh no.
And then no, don't even remind me. I don't want to think about it yet. It's starting to get cold next week.
Yeah.
So,
and especially with racing, because at least with mountain biking, if you take a camelback or something, you can take your jackets off as you go. But with a race, it's like you don't want to be throwing a jacket to a team member or whatever. So you're starting cold. You're starting in like one layer and you're freezing.
And we always make jokes how we don't want to go back to the car. Like when you go back to the car, you must then come back to the group again. And it's just like the bike handling and you get a bit stressed. You're going to do it at the wrong time. So I'd rather start with less.
Yeah.
But then you start with less and then you're just freezing. Even this weekend was quite cold when we started the race. Like wanted to put on arm warmers or a gilet or something, but then decided again not to because I didn't want to go back to the car. But then you start the race and people start attacking and then your legs just aren't there because you're not warm yet. No.
Winter.
Not excited for it.
Do you enjoy the mechanics of bicycles? Like, do you enjoy like cleaning your bike? Then if this needs to be replaced and then like the process of sitting there looping your chain, like do you enjoy that kind of stuff or is that more of a chore?
I'll be honest with you, I am terrible at that stuff. Like if I need to clean my bike, I am a bit of a spoiled brat and sometimes I'll take it to the bike shop and just say, like I think you need to check the brakes or something and please will you wash and loop as well at the same time, or
like every Saturday, just a mini service, please.
Yes, mini service. It's like, what would I be doing with my time in that time that I'll spend cleaning my bike? Because I also am a bit of a puzzler when it comes to cleaning my bike, like cleaning the chain and the intricacies of it with the toothbrush. I really don't want to spend my Saturday afternoon doing that. I'd much prefer to do something else. So I'm willing to spend, I don't know, however much, 200 or whatever it costs to clean and lube the bike.
Fortunately it is road, so it's not as muddy and all of that stuff.
So like my gravel bike, I will stand there with a hose pipe and like spray it down. But the road bike I will take to the shop. I've got a friend that works at Flower Cycles in Parkmore, and so it's the perfect on the way kind of bike shop, and we just pop it off there. Or also I can just pop it at his house, and then he'll just take it to work with him and it gets clean.
Nice.
Yeah, if you know the right people, then it's fine.
So your boyfriend cycles?
Yes, he does as well.
That must be nice to have that kind of dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you're riding with someone in the traffic and everything's a little bit stressful, it definitely makes you guys know how to communicate, or makes people know how to communicate with one another better. I'll be honest with you, he does most of my bike maintenance, actually. Like the cleaning,
that's nice.
I won't make him do that. If my tire needs to be filled with sealant, he'll do that. He's shown me a few times, but I don't do it.
But if he's going to do it, why should
exactly.
you?
Why should I do it? Changing a tire? No. I think, so of all of the time I've been riding, there was one tube, and I'm exposing myself here. One tube that I had to change, and that was when I was living in Durban by myself. And then one puncture that I had to plug. I was in the middle of a race, and someone else had fallen like 5 meters down the road from me. And so like we'd made sure he was okay. He was sitting there, but people were being like really trying to help him. And so no one was really helping. That sounds really terrible. No one was helping me with my tire. I don't know how to fix it. So then I just had to take a plug and like stab it and use a bomb as well, which I also hadn't used before. But I learned how to do it all in that moment.
Yeah.
And I haven't had to do it since. So let's touch wood. Usually I don't have to do that kind of stuff.
I'm always stressed because in your mind, you know the process, but then once you stop and you're in the middle of nowhere, you start like, it's like a little mini panic.
Like, shit, like no Uber's going to come fetch me on this gravel road in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to have to walk for like 5 km
in
to
the
get
most
to the
uncomfortable shoes to walk in.
Yes, exactly. So, or even like your bomb, like, do you know whether your bomb's going to take or not? Or if you mess up this bomb, you've got no way to fill up your tire. And usually, so I've done 2 bombs and I messed up the one, and then the next one I only got. So I had one little one attached to my bottle cages, and then I had another one in my little pack. And so then the one in the pack was the one that ended up working. But I really wasted one. Yeah. So if I only had one bomb,
if you get another puncture, then you're stuck.
I would have been stuck. And it was in Carkloof, like in the middle of nowhere. So it's not even like it's proper gravel roads that you can take a car on. It was like a single track kind of, basically, I would say could be considered like a marathon mountain bike course that was being used as gravel.
Once I was doing a stage race in the Drakensberg, and it was on the final day. It was like a little time trial. It was actually so frustrating because I was gunning it. I was enjoying it so much. And then I hit this massive rock and my entire tire burst. And I tried to put like a gator in. The gator didn't work because it was so big. So then I was like, well, I'm stuck because I've got gators, I've got a bomb, but that's not going to help. So then these other people stopped, and obviously it was tubeless, but then they put in a tube for me. I was just standing there watching.
I know, because you don't know.
It's because I'm like, I've never ridden. Okay, I guess my BMX maybe had tubes, but I was just like, I've never taken off the entire with the derailleur, and like I was just standing there. They put the tube in for me. They taped it for me. The guy's like, here's the bomb. Just hold it quick. So then I start putting it in like the valve, the cap.
You're trying
I don't even know what to call that thingy. So I put it in because I'm thinking that once it's on you loosen it. But it was one of those things where the moment you put the bomb in, it goes. So I'm putting it in. He's busy fixing something else.
He's like, stop.
And then the gas was just going everywhere. He's like, bro, you just wasted the thing. So then luckily he stopped someone else, and I got someone else's bomb.
Oh my god!
And then they put it in, and then I was just like, guys, thank you. And then I just raced away from
because
them.
Otherwise, like I'll be honest with you, if I had to change a tube in the middle of nowhere, I would puzzle. I would have no idea, and you can kind of like, I've seen people doing it, so you have an idea of what you need to do. But other people always do it better than me. So, and I'm never
and you're
by
always
myself.
leaving other people to do it. That's my thing. Is like if I'm riding with my dad and he starts doing something for me, I'm just watching him, not actually paying attention. Then the time it is you, then you're kind of stuck.
And I think the thing is, because as like we say, as a girl, you always are riding with other people. So the other people that I'm riding with are usually better at that kind of stuff than I am.
And as men, do? They take charge.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
now I'm a man. I could do
they'd
this.
be helpful. I know, exactly. So I'm like a damsel in distress. Please, will you help me with my tube?
I'm a
Help me with
damsel in
my
distress.
Yes,
I won't lie.
exactly. Be a damsel. Be a damsel. There was the other day I was with like we'd done an engine ride, and I was with probably like a 15-year-old boy. He needed to go to school. That was why I know he was that age.
Okay.
And he had a puncture, and we needed to now change this tube. Oh my goodness, did the two of us. Then we first put the one in, we pumped it up, we'd pinched it on the tire, it had been pinched. No, it was also a nightmare until, again, someone came to help myself, a damsel, and this kid, a damsel in distress, and sorted it out for us.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge, is when something goes wrong.
Yes.
To know how to do it.
No, exactly.
And to do some MacGyver stuff to try to fix it when it's something that not just the gator or your sealant is fixing for you.
Yes. No, definitely. And I don't know.
At least with roads, like a race, obviously you might be at a certain point where there's no one. But luckily, but also I know for myself, if I'm racing, I see someone stuck, I kind of like, are you okay? But I actually don't care.
You ask him, you okay, bro? And then you just like thumbs up and right away.
I'm just hoping he says, he's fine.
No, exactly. One thing that is like in the car, so we usually have Link who's there with the car. When you get a puncture, then there's a spare wheel. So again, lucky for me, I don't have to change it.
But will they have a spare wheel for all team members, or you're riding the same bike and whoever gets the wheel first?
Pretty much whoever gets the first one. There's 3 of us with all the same, 2 of us with the same. I think the cassette is slightly different, so it won't shift well, but it has the same rotor size. And then there's another 3 with the same. So me and myself, and I think it's Tennille. If both of us get a puncture, one of us is screwed. Then we're getting in the car. Then the other 3, same thing. If one of, I think we're supposed to all have spare wheels, but we don't all have spare wheels.
I was chatting to Ryan Gibbons. I was actually shocked. Obviously, but I mean, Twitter France is just a different level.
Yes, exactly.
But he was saying they've got, each rider has 7 bikes.
Oh, really?
7 bikes.
I didn't know that. That's
ridiculous.
I didn't know that.
I think that's just crazy money. 7 bikes.
It kind of shows the difference. Like, you look at the amount of money that's poured in at that level. I was actually chatting with Brian about it like 2 days ago. You look at the amount of money that's poured in at that level, and people have like 7 bikes, are getting paid massive salaries, like big bucks. I suppose it's kind of like being a professional tennis player or being a professional whatever sportsman, soccer player. You get kind of put at that level and sponsored at that level. And then there's such a gap. Like, you go from World Tour to like your Conti level teams, and some people even have to pay to ride for those Conti level teams. You pay to be there. And if you then get like picked or chosen by a World Tour team, then now, okay, cool, we've made it. We're doing well. But if you don't, then you spend a couple of years in Europe, you pay to be in that team, and then you don't make it. Like,
your main money is coming from like your own personal sponsors that you've acquired.
Exactly. And when you go to Europe, if you're now racing for another team, you now can't really always use those sponsors. There's like very special things in the contract that will probably say like, this is your
if you've got a set kit with set sponsors.
Exactly. So you look in the South African setting, and you look at Hayley, who now rides for Honeycomb. She, I think, is doing it in quite a good way. Like, she's got the sponsors in South Africa. She's riding for Honeycomb, and she's able to ride for Honeycomb. Honeycomb has like done her an amazing thing that they have been able to sponsor her as a rider in South Africa. And I think that they're helping her to go to the US, and she's going to do Unbound Gravel there, which means that she can then use the same sponsor from South Africa also overseas. But if you're doing the road scene and you have to ride for a team, then it's not about individual sponsors anymore. You have to be in a team, and you have to have people that you're riding with, and that's then when you have to figure out what you're doing.
Yeah, I think maybe that's when like those individual sponsors, if you got a good following on social media, like let's say it's a supplement sponsor that pays you, but they don't sponsor the team, and maybe if they're not like a contradictory supplement sponsor that then sponsors your team also.
Exactly.
But I mean, you know hockey, our professional South African hockey teams aren't even paid proper that you can live off it.
Exactly. No. And they don't pay, like you don't get paid. So there is definitely, if I look at both sports, if I look at hockey and I look at cycling, and obviously I've had a lot more time in hockey than I've had in the cycling scene. I do think that it is better supported than hockey. Not in all aspects, because it's very expensive as a sport. So I think that if you didn't have sponsors, there would be no cycling racing in South Africa, because no one can afford to go and do the amount of races and the number of races and the amount of traveling that is required to compete at that level.
Yeah, and all the entry fees would be ridiculously high.
Exactly. Like the entry fees for all of these races. I don't know, which one did you say? 947 was the last one that you did. I can't. How much was the entry fees?
I got a free entry. I don't know.
I don't know. Me too. I don't know.
Maybe I would say a fare would maybe be like 1,000. I don't know.
No,
because of the amount of.
Yeah, I think it's between that.
Yeah.
800 to 1,000 rand. Now you do like 8 races. That's a significant amount of money.
I mean, I was looking at doing the Tankwa gravel, and that's like 42, I think, to enter that. But obviously that's 7 days.
Yes.
And
but still.
that is 3 meals. It's a lot. No, it's a ton of money, but it's 7 meals, it's your tents, it's everything. But I mean, it's a 7-day race. I would rather do that than a 7-day holiday somewhere else. But it is 42K. I mean,
that's hectic.
Obviously we won't talk about the Cape Epic prices and that kind of stuff, because that's also okay. If we look at events with just like a day event, not like stage racing, like a running event that like want to do events will put on like 250 entry, which is easy.
No, exactly.
And that's everyone can do it. And then maybe your shoes are 3,000 rand. Fine.
Yes.
And that's
much more achievable.
Yeah, much cheaper than buying a 100K bike, then paying 3,000 rand entry, then travel to get there. Then it's in the Western Cape, so then you need to pay someone to take your bike there.
Exactly. I sometimes I do think about it, like why did I choose the sport that's so bloody expensive? Yes, exactly. No, it's crazy. And the accumulation of it, I think, is what you kind of end up having to look at. Like, obviously, but I think even as like, I think that's why it's so difficult to develop the sport as well. To bring development and development riders in, to just maintain your bike and to have enough to nutrition wise be fueling yourself well. Like if something goes wrong, to be able to financially, okay, cool, let me just fork out, I don't know, 12,000 rand for my battery on my bicycle that's now given up in the middle of Epic. Like that is crazy. So like sponsors like Enza that are able to help with that kind of stuff and are able to help with development is really, really cool. Yeah. Like it's needed, and it's needed more, I think, in lady cycling than in men. I think men, there are some development teams that are like growing, and No Chinola Waste is doing a lot of development, and Ziata is doing some development, and some teams are doing development, but it's financially much more difficult to do development and to bring development into the sport of cycling compared to like hockey. Yeah. So bringing development into hockey, you have to have a stick, you have to have shoes, you have to have shin pads, and cool, then like you can go and play, and then you need transport. That in itself, okay, cool, yes, it's a feat, and it is expensive. But when you look at something like cycling, that again is such an expensive sport, to bring development into cycling is really, really difficult. So finding sponsors that are able to, Matsimela Ladies Clinic, they do a lot for development in the ladies cycling world. It's really, really cool, actually. Like they've got a load of girls. They enter them into races. The ladies do clinics where they do bike handling and they do skills and they learn how to look after their bike. And actually, I feel like it's things that a lot of ladies need, but the fact that they're doing it development-wise and for females is really, really cool. I think MTN sponsors them, and there's a few other sponsors that they also have. But it's awesome to see that people are putting money into the development of female riders and just riders that are not able to afford to cycle.
And it's difficult because obviously, let's say they need a bike to learn on.
Yeah.
They might not be able to transport that bike. So then you need a crew to then take the bikes to them wherever they I was training at Northgate, and there's a bunch of Matamela ladies that just are riding around the car park there.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they aren't able to bring the bike, store the bike somewhere, someone needs to then take them the bike. Someone needs to maintain the bikes. Someone needs to then maybe transport them to somewhere. I mean, in the cradle, how many yellow ladies do you see riding around?
I love
it's awesome.
It's like
so
the
nice
biggest
to
vibe.
see.
It's awesome. And I think if we were able to find more sponsors that were able to help, like Enza is helping ladies in cycling and like MTN is helping ladies in cycling, I do think that it will grow. I just think that financially it's not there. But the more people that start, like the fact that Honeycomb is now helping Hayley, which is also another female in cycling, and Chinolo has got 2 female riders as well. There is more people that are willing to start helping ladies in cycling, but not everyone has the same amount of commitment like Enza does or they do at Matsumela Ladies.
Yeah, I think what you need, unfortunately, is someone at MTN that's really passionate about cycling that then has some sort of say in how they market, that is then able to allocate funds there.
Yes.
So I think that's the difficult thing about within these bigger companies that have the budget to allocate the budget. Okay, well, let's maybe do one less TV ad and put that money towards helping these ladies for the next 6 months or whatever.
Exactly.
And I think you kind of need someone that's in cycling within those organizations to do that, because someone that, if it's just bottom line orientated, they're going to just say, okay, well, less people are going to see cycling kit than they're going to see on a YouTube sponsored ad.
No, definitely.
So that's also, you kind of just need people that are in the industry to then,
and like want to progress the sport.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It is difficult because I can understand why people aren't necessarily sponsoring cycling as much as they used to. I mean, there is a lot more TV time these days. Like you look at the Cape Epic and how much those ladies were on the TV. And that's really cool and that's good advertising. But at like the slightly more, what do I say, like lower levels or entry levels, there's a lot less what's the word? There's a lot less exposure for the companies that put themselves onto the kits. So then you do need to be passionate about cycling. You have to be doing it for the development of cycling.
Yeah, it's not about your company making money.
Yes, not exactly. Yeah.
And now you say you want to obviously progress your physiotherapy career. What now if opportunities come to progress in professional cycling? Would that be a difficult decision, or do you think actually it would be easier than you think?
No, I think it would be difficult. It sounds crazy, but I really, really love my job. Like, I don't think a lot of people can wake up and say that they enjoy going to work.
Most people can't. Yeah, most people can't.
Literally, I love what I do. I love when I wake up and I get to go and see my patients. I look forward to seeing like certain patients. Like we get to catch up on how their week was. Cool. I keep rehabbing the Achilles tendon. I have a patient of mine who also rides a lot and he had an Achilles tendon repair. And it's like, we get to catch up on what's going on in one another's lives. Like, cool, how are your December holidays? What are you up to? And then you get to, I get a lot of reward from it. And I think that is what I would miss.
Yeah, it's job satisfaction through community. Whereas, there's satisfaction within the community of cycling, but it's not as much of, I'm helping you. The joy in helping someone recover or get over some niggles or whatever.
No, exactly. I think as well that they are so linked, like the progressing myself as a physio and improving as a physio and studying further and learning affects my cycling in a positive way. It makes me more knowledgeable about like how my body works, my biomechanics, nutrition, all of that stuff, which then in turn improves my cycling, because now it's like, okay, cool. Actually, sleep's pretty important when you like go and you learn about it in your course, or you learn about nutrition wise, what, carbohydrates, your 2-to-1 fructose sucrose ratio in your stomach. Like that means that whatever flipping, I don't know, those carb juices that you take while you ride, that's the ratio that it must be. So then you're like, okay, cool. Then you can go do research on that. And you've got a general understanding enough that it can then improve the cycling as well.
Yeah.
I'd love to join them together. I would love to become much more specialized in like cycling related physio, but that is like
super niche as well. It's super niche.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's very, very niche. But I think it is where like a lot of my interest lies. The hockey as well. I am very interested in hockey related physio. And so I think both of those sports are kind of where my passions for physio lie, like hockey related injuries. I was fortunate enough to go to the World Cup with the Indo Hockey Girls in, was it February? Yes. And that was really, really cool because I got to join my passion for hockey, which I don't get to do anymore because my knee's messed up. I get to do and be in the hockey community and be helping hockey and be part of like the team that helps them to do well. But I'm not necessarily playing. I'm getting to then do my other passion, which is also physio. And to be able to do that in cycling would also be really, really cool. But like you say, very, very niche. And cycling is not as big as I think it is in other places in the world in South Africa. But if I could be the best version of myself as a physio or be as knowledgeable as I possibly can as a physio with regards to cycling, it would mean that I could help people to the best of my abilities in that regard. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then also progressing within your career, if you then get to a point where you can focus on cycling, because you can't cycle forever. You can't be professional cyclist forever. You can't be competitive forever.
Yeah.
There is that, okay, well, I've got this, practice that I have a team that now, as opposed to starting, yes, maybe you're qualified, but then you become a professional cyclist, then you stop being competitive and then you have to start from ground zero again at 35 or whatever.
No, definitely. I think it does have a beauty to it, like the like career of being a physio, that you can leave for a bit and come back, and you see it with a lot of moms, that go and then they help to raise their kids and they'll still practice because they love being a physio. That's unfortunately the thing, is that usually people that are physios love being a physio. You're not a physio. It's kind of like being a teacher.
Yeah.
You're not a teacher because you are like really wanting like
the massive salary.
Yes, exactly. You are a teacher because you love teaching. And it's the same with physio. Like you're a physio because you love being a physio. So people do kind of tend to fade out a little bit and then re-enter again. I don't know if I would do that.
Human bodies are pretty much the same. In 5 years' time, the human body is going to be the same.
Maybe I need to go refresh and like do my SPT course again, or go and do, because you have to keep up your CPDs and your continuous development points. But I actually can't answer the question of I don't know whether I would or wouldn't go. I don't think right now that I've got nearly enough like expertise or am good enough to go and consider doing something like that, because I think if you go and do something like that, you must be pretty sure that this is what you're doing. If I didn't love physio so much, maybe I would be very sure about it, but right now it would be really, really difficult to like choose what to do.
Yeah. And now with, having most of your riding on road and obviously looking into gravel, do you have a preference? Would it be road?
Oh, definitely.
Is it road?
Definitely road. Definitely.
Is it because it's more team driven?
Yes, 100%. Like that is for me that's the main reason why I actually got, I think, drawn into the cycling. Like at first it was just cool. I like it, like the structure, whatever. And then this team environment kind of started to be created, and you grow these relationships with people, and it kind of brings in that part of hockey that I really enjoy and that I really loved into cycling itself. So definitely road is my number one. I think gravel is hard and it makes me better at the road, but I definitely still enjoy the road more. Like if I was to mountain bike, I would probably have a goal to do epic and, do a couple of races around South Africa, but it definitely is not my main passion. My main passion is the road. I enjoy the tactical aspects as well of the road. Like gravel and mountain bike, it's like you have to be technical and you have to have good technical skills, but tactically the chess game of those two disciplines compared to road don't compare. Like the road is very much more of a chess game against another team and who you're going to send up the road, who's going to go to the finish with you. You want to go to the finish with people that aren't sprinters. So if you're going to make a breakaway, you want to make a breakaway with people that are not going to beat you in the sprint. And then you have to really start to be a lot more tactical about everything you're doing. That is what I enjoy. Sorry, I get carried away.
No, that's cool. I like it. Because that's also very similar to hockey,
Yes,
with the strategy and the tactics and everything.
Exactly. I do miss that though. I miss hockey a lot.
You mentioned your knee. What happened?
I tore my ACL like a year and a bit ago. And I just I knew something was really wrong, but when you just ignore it, because it wasn't that sore. Like first time I tore it, this is my second tear, was in matric, and I was in a lot of pain, and I got it fixed quite soon after that because I literally couldn't do anything. And then when I tore it again, I was playing hockey again, and it wasn't that bad. Like the pain that I felt when it tore wasn't too bad. I think the nerve endings in the graft are not as sensitive as they necessarily are in the original ACL that is in your leg. So that was obviously a graft, then the graft tore, and so it wasn't that painful. I didn't get a lot of pain in my day-to-day activities. I could run, I could play a little bit of paddle. It didn't give me issues. And kind of a year or so went by, and I was like, okay, this knee's not 100% right. Like, let me go to the doctor. And so yeah, now I still have not got an ACL in it. I need to go for an operation on the 7th of May, so like a month's time now.
It doesn't affect your riding.
The ACL doesn't. It doesn't. No, there's no change in direction. So of all of the sports for me to be able to be doing, cycling is probably like the best. Yes. Yeah. So I'm not going to get the ACL repair now because that's like 9 months of rehab. They're just going to remove the hardware inside my knee and the scar tissue, and then bone graft and like fill the old holes that are in here. And then when I decide that I'm willing to take like 6 to 9 months off of cycling, then I will get the ACL repaired.
So now this one next month. Take any time? Would you have to take like maybe a week off cycling, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I think 2 weeks to a month or so.
You'll take the least amount as possible.
Yes. Like I need to get it right, so I won't be stupid.
Yeah.
But I think that's the beauty of cycling as well, is that actually it's like a sport for anyone. Like your knee is messed up, cool. Like you can probably cycle. You got a bad back, you can probably cycle. Like it's the sport that all the orthopedic surgeons are telling people to go and do.
I mean, just look at the age of my cyclists.
Yes, exactly. People. I even say like this is my old man sport.
Yeah.
It's like me and my old man friends, and we go and we ride in the cradle together. Yeah. It's like my 80-year-old, that's what I call them. This is the 80-year-old man knee. This is like the 26-year-old lady knee. I've got one.
At least you got one that's young.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like I've got two 50-year-old.
But you see, it is, and you speak to a lot of people that ride as well, and often they started riding because they were injured or because they had like a bad knee or they've got arthritis. One of my best friends in the whole world, her and I played hockey together throughout the whole of varsity, and she has bad degeneration of the underside of her patella, and so she's had to have multiple operations and stuff. But obviously, both of us were in love with the hockey the team aspect, everything. She hasn't gotten into the competitive side of cycling as much as I have, but cycling we actually started together. Like all those 4 years ago when I started riding, she was also there, and both of us kind of started it together because it was that one thing that doesn't really hurt your knee.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of just take it easy or you can take it seriously. I think that's also something that people don't realize, is that there's so many different like levels of cycling that you can enjoy it. You've got obviously the people that take it way too seriously, like myself and, whatever. Even though it's just a hobby, we take it way too seriously. And then you get people who just do it 3 or 4 times a week. And it's actually just fabulous. Like you get to be outside, you get to be in nature, you get to, I don't know, go on mountain bike trails. I don't know if you've seen the Femmes ladies cycling group, but they also, it's fabulous. Like they want to go and drink mimosas at the airport before they go to DC, and then like they want to celebrate with champagne afterwards. Like that is what cycling can be as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily just have to be this real like snot and trana and like grip thing. It can also just be about getting dressed in your nice fashionable cycling clothes and going and having champagne after.
That is something you mentioned, the fashionable clothing. That obviously, I mean, running clubs now, it's basically just a fashion club.
Yeah.
But cycling is also kind of going that way with a lot of these brands.
So it's crazy.
And the pricing of them is ridiculous.
It is.
You know, you look at
ridiculous.
the nicer ones where it's like 4,000, 5,000 rand for just the bib. And you're like, it looks nice.
Yeah, very
The
nice.
branding on it's cool. Other people can look at it and think,
Yes,
okay, that guy's got that kit.
Yes.
That's cool. But it's ridiculous. I mean, you
Yeah, it
can
is.
get away with first ascent kit and
Yeah.
be just as good.
No, exactly.
The person in me was like, no, I wanted the best.
Yes,
and
I know,
that's also
exactly.
a problem, because when your kit costs you, just your bib and your jacket
Yes.
costs you 10,000 rand,
No, it's crazy.
then it's like, that's like a fifth of my bike.
No,
that's
literally. Then you
ridiculous.
think about it, and it's
Yeah.
actually ridiculous.
And you're riding 4 or 5 times a week, then it's like, how many of these outfits do I
Yes,
need?
no, exactly. So I think having like my kit, my Enzo construction kit, saves me a lot of that stress. But the fashion, and it does, like the way that the fashion is going is that it is actually becoming fashionable. Like I used to look at cyclists and everyone was wearing like Lumo helmet and like Lumo socks and
Uncoordinated.
Yes, exactly. Now
yeah.
everything has to
like
be
nice
clean.
earthy tones.
Yes, exactly. Clean, earthy tones. And still, like, the thing about cycling kit is that it also doesn't really get like old. So like your shoes, you can have your shoes for a really, really long time. And that's sometimes how I can validate.
4 years of my mountain biking shoes, which take a lot of strain, and they're still good.
Yes, exactly. So you can sometimes validate how expensive it's going to be. But there's also a point where like, you know, I don't know if you've heard of bib cancer. Have you heard of bib cancer? It's like when your bib, the lycra starts to like deteriorate a little bit, and then you start seeing a little bit of bum crack.
Yes, okay. Yes,
and so you go.
I've seen it. I haven't heard of it.
But that's when you must tell someone like, listen, buddy, I think that this is like, you need to just change this bib, because everyone that's because you never see behind yourself.
Yeah.
So unless someone tells you that you've got bib cancer, you actually won't know that you've got bib cancer. So.
Yeah, no, I would say, well, I mean, I've had bibs that are like 3 years old. They're still great.
Yeah.
But I would, just being the person I am, is like every new season, I want
Yes,
at least 3 or 4 new bibs.
No, definitely. You just got to wait for the sales, like Cycle Lab sales often.
Like if you see a Vita archive sale, then you go and grab.
There we go.
Yeah.
I think that's actually what that's what I tell people as well. Like when you're looking for kit, don't buy it full price, because it will go on sale, especially the ladies stuff, because there's not enough ladies and they always oversupply the ladies kit. So the ladies stuff will go on sale. Just wait for the sale and then buy the stuff that you need.
Because the newer season is exactly the same. Maybe they've just introduced some new colors, new branding at a particular different point, but it's all the same.
And I hate that I get so sucked in, like, oh my gosh, did you see this new Pas Normal jersey that they've just released? Or like when Sheer Vita times burnt, did you see what they just released? Like
that's the problem.
Yes, exactly.
But also it's also fun. Like it is exciting, but maybe for the first ride.
Yes,
then it's like, okay, well, I've worn this before.
I've got a pair of long bibs, my first pair of long bibs that I bought towards the end of last year, and I haven't gotten a chance to wear them yet. They're just saying I'm saving them. Yes, they're in my cupboard. I'm waiting for winter, but I invested in them at the end of the last winter so that they were on sale.
Yes.
And so now I'm just waiting for the time to use them. Like, yeah.
Those early mornings.
Yes, exactly. Keeping them in my cupboard, waiting. That first day that I use them, I'm gonna feel all fashionable.
Yeah.
But then after that, it's just, loses the
novelty soon wears off, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for sitting and chatting with me.
Cool. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I have actually really enjoyed it. It's made me think about a lot of things that I think that I hadn't thought about. I.e. when we got into the discussion of like the ladies and the sponsors and finding lady sponsors and finding team sponsors, but it's something to go and think about and also try and figure out ways to make it improve.
Yeah, I think that's because just into our economy is subpar, then obviously just being less money.
Yes.
In all around the board. I think it's just such a challenge. And
exactly.
I just think it needs time.
Yeah.
And more people willingly maybe sacrificing a little bit of profit.
Yeah.
To be able to get more people into cycling. Because if it's just money driven,
yes, exactly.
It's not going to happen. Because helping out and promoting women's cycling and building up teams, it can't be money driven in South Africa.
No,
it has to be passion driven.
Yeah. There needs to be more people like Enza, but I don't think that I think you need to know the right people. And that's the thing. As a manager, you need to know someone who is passionate and willing to be as supportive as Enza is. Because if you don't have that, then there becomes this disconnect. Yeah. Anyways, now I'm going on. I'll talk about it until tomorrow. So let's cut me off here.
Well, thank you very much. Okay. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.